Got as you can see, I got the stack pretty much done here. Really tight build. And what I'm trying to show here is a couple things. The HGLRC 3.1 board needs a capacitor on the back here. Sorry, it needs a capacitor here on the back. It's usually included. It's a 470. Let's see, they've included a couple of them. Here it is, right here. 35 volt, and this one's 220. So 35 volt 220. But I've also had them include a 470 as well. So what you do is you solder that between the pads of the positive and negative where the battery goes in. The other thing too is if you do have a FR Sky receiver that has a smart port, you can actually just tie that right in, and this goes for the 4-in-1 boards as well. You can put that right there where the where they have the place for the GPS unit, so you don't have to do anything special. It works great. I have Lewis script on my Tyrannus, so that's why I want to run the smart port, so I'm able to do my PIDs and my rates right on the radio. I don't have to go through the OSD and do all the stick movements and stuff like that. The other issue, of course, is, and the reason why you need a cap on this particular board is because of the OSD chip in here. OSD chips are just, you know, it's old tech, and they're very susceptible to any interference from the motors. And so when you start shoving them, you know, everything on one board like this, you're going to get some kind of interference, and that's why you have a capacitor. I did the same thing with the 4-in-1, the all-in-one board that had the VTX built into the actual board, and I never had any problem with any lines or anything like that. So, and I was running the Emax 4000 kV motors and 3S and 4S. It didn't give me any lines by just simply putting the capacitor on there. So anyway, it's pretty much up and running. Here's my little beeper. It's nice and loud. I have this I had a TBS Unify Pro laying around in another build. I already had this antenna on it. This antenna looks kind of dorky, but believe it or not, it actually puts up a lot of crap without bending. So I'm just going to leave it on here. Why not? And the other build I had it on was a 114. It was a really serious lightweight quadcopter. So I just wanted to have a small antenna on that. I can't have a lot of weight on something like that. So I'm just going to leave it on there. And then my run cam. You notice I don't have the plug on the run cam on the back anymore. That happened in that crash against the water tower and the trees and all that stuff. It literally ripped the connector right off the back of the board there, so it's just solid wired, which is kind of a bummer because run cam, I did get these yeah, I did get this little Swift cables to make adjustments on the run cam micro here, but I can't use them now. So, but that's what this build is about. This build is about stuff I've had laying around here on the bench, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just, you know, I'm just putting it all together for this little Sparrow. The 4-in-1 fit in really tight. Everything's really tight on this. Very tight built. Not as tight as the Atom V2, but very tight. So that's where we're at now, and I'm about ready to put the frame on and getting it buttoned up, and then I have to do some programming, remapping the motors and whatnot. So build is finally done. This is the tightest build I have ever done, which says a lot because I've done a lot of tight builds. There is no room at all. What's nice about this though is, you know, it's a full feature. I mean, I got everything, so I feel like I've been at work all damn weekend, honestly, trying to put this thing together. So, I mean, this thing is just jam-packed. I mean, just packed up. So I gotta finish mapping the motors, remapping the motors in Betaflight, because the way I hooked them up to the ESC, I just, whatever wire was closest, and do some other stuff in Betaflight, and then take it out and fly, and hopefully never crash it, because I really don't want to work on it again. This is amazing. It's a great frame. I mean, if you had 20 by 20 setup or something like that, I mean, it would be great for a 20 by 20. You know, get yourself a 20 by 20 flight controller, maybe put the ESCs out here on the arms. You know, get yourself a much smaller receiver, and you know, of course, get a 20 by 20 VTX, and it would all fit in here, no problem. But I did this with the components that I had left from other builds that I'm not flying anymore, because the frames are broke or there's something broke on them. So overall, I mean, yeah, it was a lot of work to do this. I had to custom cut these pieces to fit in here right, so help protect everything. So I'm hoping it flies good. The weight on it, you know, it feels real heavy, but surprisingly the weight on it's really not that bad. So on my scale, let's see, get her off the angle here. We're looking at 150 grams, and that's pretty heavy. I mean, honestly, for a well, it's a 140, but still doesn't have the props on there, so it's probably going to be a little over 150 grams, probably about 155 by the time I put the other two props on. I got really light prop nuts, so I'm not worried about that. And then, so with the battery, you're probably looking at 225, because I still have a battery strap too. So the two props, the battery strap, plus the nuts, probably looking at 226 actually. So I mean, it's kind of a porker, but you know, I think it'll fly just fine. Not quite as light as I would like it to be, but it is a heavier frame. I mean, it's about 10 grams heavier than other frames. So Got Heli RC has these in stock. They have all different sizes. This is the 139. But they also have the same version right here, but it's in a I think it's 150. I think it's a 150 or a 145. I think is 145 or something like that. And of course on up. I think it's a neat design. I like the fact that I can tell what camera angle I'm putting it at. Like right now, I think I got it at 40. I think it might be 40 or something like that right now. Yeah. Yeah, seems about right, about 40. A little under 40. So I like that. It's easy to adjust this camera. The Swift, the little Swift Micro fits in here perfectly. I did have to do, like I said, some changes to just the back side of the chassis. It's going to be a little wider here because I had to make room for the FC all-in-one there, because it kind of has that thing that sticks out for the battery pads. But the front is the same as it came stock. So there you go. I'll get it, and I'll get the Betaflight done on it, get the motors remapped, set up the ESCs for these motors. The 4-in-1 ESC was set up for the Emax motors, which do run a lot different than these. And then I'll do some flight videos.